Okay.
Hey, Renee.
Hey, Annette.
Today I want to talk about how our abuse possibly affected our parenting. Possibly affected, we know it did, but how it affected our parenting, just at the top of your head, what comes to mind?
Well, I had two plus foster child, and then lots of neighbors. But the first thing that comes to mind, just so people know, yeah, I was a parent, or am still a parent, of boys. So those that saw that eye movement understand who have boys. They could be a lot, but it wasn't them that stirred it. What brought how my abuse came into parenting was the control. Um, Still that need of control of my world. And by the time I had two kids, I didn't feel like I had control of my world.
Two boys, no.
Yeah, they're going to do what they're going to do, you know? But for me, that control showed up with anger. It showed up with anger towards their behavior, or they're not listening, the basic not listening thing, and it just drove me batty, you know? And then that anger transferred.
Laughing. Go ahead.
Oh, remember those moments, huh? Yeah, that anger. So it went from control, then it went to anger. I mean, I was angry at my husband, thinking that he wasn't parenting enough with me. I was angry at my children, thinking they weren't behaving well enough, you know, driving me batty. And then that whole thing then went to blaming others. And the one thing that comes to mind is finances. At that time, I wasn't managing finances well. And I remember bouncing a check. I do not do that now. Got to give you that disclaimer. But back then, I wasn't doing my math. I was not balancing my checkbook. You know, I was just kind of in that la la land, and it'll pay itself. And then I would get a thing saying that we got, you know, a fee. And I just, the bank, that, blaming. And found out when my older son, you know, he's 14 or something, got his first job, he's getting his first paycheck, like, oh, you got to put it in the bank. No, why would I do that? Well, because you could save it and you can gain interest on it and all this great stuff that the bank does. I watched how they treated you, Mom.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah, so my anger came out in a little crazy way with that financial management and blaming the bank for something I did that I then needed to reteach my child. My behavior was wrong. And here's how my behavior is now, but I wasn't speaking it anymore. The good that I learned on how to manage money. But thankfully, we had that conversation. We were able to right a wrong that I did in my parenting. And this kid is a phenomenal money manager and saver and stuff. But imagine had I let that continue to affect him. Who knows? But what about you? How did it affect you? Those are the first things that came to mind.
Well, control really rings a bell. I had to have so much patience for kids that just didn't seem to understand what I was desiring, what the outcome I wanted. And thankfully I was married to John, and he a lot of time would say, they just fight, or whatever it was, or it's okay. What's the worst thing that could happen? And that helped a lot when I would think it through. It was like, well, I'll leave this a mess. And he goes, and then they'll have to clean it up. They'll see, let them get their consequences. Stop trying to be in control so much. So that was a really good balance for me, but that was something I was always, especially in those young years. I feel sorry for the first three kids. I had five, but the first three really took it because they were the guinea pigs through the whole process of me learning how to be patient, me learning how to be kind, me learning how to love them unconditionally. The other was when it comes to how did it affect my parenting, when it came to the kids going and spending the night at grandma and grandpa's house, or an aunt and uncle's, or friends of ours, because people would say, hey, we'll watch your child for you, or whatever it is, that type of thing. You guys could have a night out. unless they had their sibling with them, we didn't allow them to do it. We had rules about that. And for everybody else looking in, they felt like we were way overprotective to have these rules. We also had it so if our kids were going to go somewhere in a car, they also had to have a sibling with them. So they couldn't just go with grandma to the grocery store. They had to go with grandma and another sibling to the grocery store. And people were like, you're just being way overprotective. You guys are from Mars. And it was like, that kind of hurt when I heard it, but it was like, do I err on overprotective and being called that, or take the chances that something along the way, I know how long it took me to heal and the hurt that I had felt from being abused. I just was trying to protect my kids from being abused as well. Yeah. Did we overprotect at times when we shouldn't? I'm sure we did. John was along with me on that ride of, no, these are the rules, and we've implemented, and it's straight across the board for everybody. Now it makes me crack up because I see parents today, and they're even more overprotective than I was. So it makes me feel good, but it didn't help back then when I was a 20-something mother and I was being, bagged on by my siblings of, you've got to be kidding me.
I had something similar with that. My overprotectiveness was with what they were seeing, like the video games.
Oh, yeah, yes. Parents have to go through that. Yep.
Movies were big, and their friends would be like, Mom, my friend has it. Well, I don't care your friend has that. It has this in it, and it has this in it. Not coming into my house. And then same thing like you said, natural consequences. I had to learn to give my kids the consequences. You talked about let them make the mess. They're the ones that are going to have to clean it up. I had to learn that because I always thought I was getting angry because I thought I had to do it all. I hadn't learned that skill yet of what consequences were. Of there's a good consequence, there's a bad consequence. You make your choice. So I'm appreciative of learning those things, though I didn't come into parenting with it.
As a parent, you're always learning and you're always adapting because every child is so different. But the main thing of what did you bring in from your abuse, that control piece is huge. I've seen it in everybody I've worked with. And I'm glad you brought that up, that was the first thing at the top of your head. Because absolutely, that definitely is one thing.
But with Jesus, we can get it under control.
With Jesus, yes, absolutely.
A little twist. We want to be in control, but asking Jesus for the help can help you get it under control.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks for discussing it with me today.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.